Good morning, everybody. It's funny because in my last video, I was saying that if the left wins, we're going to go back to a new Dark Ages, and it's going to be worse than the old Dark Ages. And the reason why I said it'll be worse is because I was thinking of a video, I believe it's from one of my favorite channels called History Matters on YouTube, where they make short animated videos on history. They're very educational and also very funny in a droll British way. And one of the videos was called How Dark Were the Dark Ages? And there's several videos on this subject that you can find on YouTube. And I was specifically thinking about that because the Dark Ages were not as dark as we believe they are, but the new Dark Ages could be much worse. With that being said, I did want to talk about a subject that has come up in my life because of my profession. I'm a prison chaplain. I'm a supervisory prison chaplain. So I supervise all of the different religions in the prison where I work. And among those are several, obviously, non-Abrahamic religions, which self-identify as pagan or heathen, as well as others. And yesterday I had the opportunity to have a conversation with one of my favorite rabbis. I'm not going to mention him by name because it was a private conversation. But he's someone who's very interested in interfaith work, as I am, within a halachic Orthodox framework that's really, we're on a tightrope and it's on a balance beam, but it is what it is. And it's the things we got to do in a certain sense. We got to do what we got to do. And I was discussing with him the various pagans that I work with, and now that because of COVID, the reaction to COVID-19, I'm not going to say it's because of COVID-19, in the prison system, we're only showing YouTube videos, pretty much, or other videos that we get from online, from WhatsApp or other websites. And since we can't bring in volunteers, such as we had a Wiccan high priest and a Asatruan Gothi, who's actually a Theodish Gothi, and hopefully they'll be coming back eventually when we can have volunteers come back again. But these two men would volunteer in the prison once a month or so. And so the guys would have, from those traditions, would have their opportunity to meet with their clergy and spend some time with them. And in lieu of that, we're showing YouTube videos. So I'm learning a lot about these traditions, the Asatru or Norse pagan Odinist tradition, and the Wiccan various traditions and so forth. And I was discussing with this rabbi about these groups. And one thing I mentioned is the difference between and also others, Hindus and Buddhists and so forth, that we also serve, and so I'm also watching their videos to learn about those religions. And we were discussing about how the Hindu tradition is really a monotheist tradition, and I had mentioned something that Alan Watts, a very famous philosopher in the 1960s and 70s, taught that, and he was a scholar of the Eastern traditions. He said that with the Hindu deities should not be called gods in English; they should be called angels, which is an interesting. And this rabbi agreed that that would be still, we're not allowed to worship angels, and it's still avodah zarah in the Jewish sense, but theologically speaking, these are not gods; they are angels, or really avatars of the one God. Similarly, the Wiccan high priest, he said that he believes that the divine is one, and only it expresses itself in different cultures in different ways. But when it comes to Asatru, I never really discussed with our Gothi about that. But the videos that I'm watching, they do not seem to have any connection to a first cause. All of their gods are created beings that exist in their tradition, and they're not almighty, all-powerful, they're not omnipotent, and they're not omnipresent. They're kind of like us, as were the Greek gods and so forth. And these, using the word God to refer to these beings, I think Alan Watts has a point that it's a disservice from our perspective. But then when I mentioned to this rabbi, I said it seems like the Odinists don't have a belief in a first cause. And he said, well, maybe they're like the Buddhists who don't. It's not even in their radar. That's not why it's. Meaning the Buddhists don't say there is or isn't. It doesn't matter. And things like that. However, there was one point I did want to bring out, and maybe we'll discuss in a second video, because it was something that, on a different point I discussed with this rabbi, that the one thing that the Odinists always say in comparison to the Abrahamic religions is that they are not subservient to their gods, they're in fellowship with their gods. And so they're not groveling at the feet of their gods, they're friends with them. And one thing that I was kind of discussing with this rabbi is that really in all, at least in Judaism and Christianity, Islam maybe to a lesser extent, we are friends with the Creator, not with just the created beings that are transient, but with the first cause. And so we're not groveling necessarily at the feet of God. We're fellowshipping with God. We are we're developing a relationship with God. So that's I want to upload this, but I want to discuss this more another time. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment.